We're live, are we?
We are live, yeah.
Live. Well, welcome. Thanks everyone for joining, guys. On this Friday night. I know it's sunny out there, and people are having barbecues out with Jay and stuff like that. So, everything. Yeah. So obviously, we're going to be doing what we usually do. We're going to be talking about what's been moved for our tanks, what's going on, good and bad. Is somebody's thingy echoing there? No. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. It's fine. I've just come in off my barbecue, so I've left it running.
Yeah, what's going on?
There's nothing worse than interrupting someone midstream, is there? Or someone turning up late, Steve.
Exactly. And also we've got a special guest on, Reef King. He's going to be joining us around 9 o'clock. So obviously, if you've got any questions that you want to ask him, I've got a few myself, obviously, but by all means, ask him some questions. He's quite knowledgeable in this reefing hobby, so hopefully he'll be able to help us all out. So, yeah, without further ado, I think we should just go straight on to what's been happening on our reefs this week, good or bad, or, if you bought anything. So I'll pass it on to the Bearded Reef first. How about you, Ross?
Thanks very much, mate. Massive anticlimax for this week. There's been absolutely nothing happened in my tank this week. Not a thing. I have kept my hands at it. I have not touched it. I have stayed away from it. The only thing I've done is clean the glass, and that is it. Wow. So I haven't even done a water check, nothing. I haven't done anything to it. I just thought, after we spoke about last week of trying to keep the hands out of the tank and so on, so I thought, yep, this week I am doing nothing to the tank. So literally have not touched it. Haven't even dosed anything. Everything's exactly as it was last week when I done my water change on the Sunday. And it seems to be really healthy, to be fair. Obviously, I've fed the fish. Thanks, Bravo. I just noticed that comment down there. I have fed the fish, so done that. But yeah, that literally is it. There is nothing changed in my tank at all, which I suppose is a good thing in a way.
Absolutely.
Corals seem to be pretty healthy. Everything seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I just, like I say, it was one of those I wanted to try and keep my hands out for a week rather than prodding about.
Yeah,
I always have that problem.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I was struggling to do was some of the corals that I had on the sand. Every week I was moving them. I wasn't giving them a chance to try and settle in. So I was thinking, I don't know if that's the right place. So I'll move that, and I would move it. Now it's maybe only a couple of inches. I'd move it, but I thought, no, I'm going to leave them where they are, make sure they are settled, and that's fine. I mean, the majority of my corals are all stuck to the rockwork now, so it's not as bad. But the couple that are on the sand, I've been moving them about. So, that's nothing much in the tank really, and I haven't even really bought anything this week either. To be fair, I'm just trying to think if I have bought anything. I haven't. I did get this sent to me though, which was actually really nice. I don't know if you've seen that on Instagram. Which was
yeah.
So it's like a bit of MDF wood. It was a guy, Simon Kraken Reef, I think his name is. Simon. Yeah. He's got like a laser type machine that etches everything into the wood. So he done this for me and sent this up to me. So it's pretty cool, to be fair. I quite like it. So
that's
thanks very much to Simon for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I think obviously he's doing them for our folk, and they're not actually that expensive from what I've seen. So that's that was quite a cool wee thing. So that's literally all that's happened this week for me, mate. Nothing.
Where are you going to put that, Ross? That picture. Where are you going to put it?
I don't know, mate. I was gonna. So I don't know.
Like a big poster or something.
Yeah, I've not actually decided what I'm going to do with it yet.
Yeah, it's nice.
You can go next to the calendar, can't it?
You can above the calendar, Ross. Yeah.
There we go. I'll sit it there. Is that better?
Yeah, we don't want collect complaining again, do we?
No. I don't know what I'm going to do, mate, because I've already got the one, the UV one that I've got above the tank there.
Yeah.
So,
is that Shez Pink who did that one for you?
That's the one, yeah. Our stuff is amazing, mate. Really good.
She's really talented, isn't she? That Shez.
She's doing a lot for a lot of the reefers, isn't she? Shez Pink, isn't she?
Yeah. And I mean, for what you get, they're not overly expensive either. And I mean, she's doing a couple, so that she's got a Facebook group. I'm not sure if it's a private group or not, but I think it's Shez Arts or Shez Pink Arts. I'll try and find it and put it in the description of this so people can see it. But the stuff that she does is phenomenal. It's really, really nice.
Really talented.
Yeah.
I love that one that's just above your tank, it says.
Aye, it's really nice. I mean, the actual
really
colours off it's phenomenal, and it's quite good because it's not too in your face, but it's just one of those that when the light off the tank hits on it,
The UV.
it looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
So
I
very
literally
quiet,
have
very quiet
nothing.
week for you, Ross. A very quiet week for you. Have you still got your voucher? You've not spent that, no?
No, not spent that. So I have been speaking to. I spoke to Reef Exotics and I haven't actually spent the voucher yet because he's talking about getting more stock in.
Right.
Told him that I'm wanting a torch, so he's trying to find decent stock just now for that. So
I've heard vouchers are excluded from the new stock.
And I spoke to him, made sure there wasn't an expiry date as well, and he said, "No, you're fine." So, yeah, that's the voucher's still there. I might take a trip over to Nessie's Lair this weekend and have a look at some coral over there.
Oh yeah,
that's my kind of local fish shop. So I like a couple more just kind of fill in spots. Try not to put too much in the tank, but I'm just going to have a look, I think, and see what he's got. Although having a look leads to more, but yeah, that's literally me, mate. Apologies, it's not that exciting, but that's where we're at this week.
So I think you've made it, Ross. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's not always.
Don't say that.
It's not always. Yeah.
No, honestly, when your tank's so stable and things are ticking over, it's really nice. It's like the perfect hobby.
Well, I don't know if it's stable, mate, because I haven't even done a water test this week.
I'm going to say, have you done any water testing? Because that'll tell you the truth of it.
No, I'm going to do that tomorrow, so I'll try it tomorrow, see how we get on with that. And yeah, there might be a disaster video coming tomorrow, we don't know.
Because I 2 weeks ago, I was in cruise control, and I was just like, oh, I've nailed this hobby now. This is me, I've done. And then I did my phosphate check, as you know, and it was like 0.22 ppm.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, where's that? Well, where's that come from? So yeah, but I reckon you've got it nailed now, Ross. I think that's it.
Nah, I'm not going to even entertain that, mate. No, that's not happening. We'll stick to. I'll do my water test tomorrow and see what carnage we've got. But yeah, hopefully it's all right, mate.
Your Instagram pictures were brilliant this week, Ross, as well. I like the mushroom. The mushroom picture was incredible.
So I've just been trying to post kind of a picture every day as such, mate, just to try and keep things ticking over. Obviously, because I don't have that many corals, it's a difficult thing to do. But I've just been trying to take pictures, and it's actually quite interesting because if you look at some of my pictures, like of the mushroom that I posted up there, and go back a couple of weeks when I first got it, you can see that the colours have changed on it and it's grown a bit. And actually, it's probably a good thing for me posting pictures every day. That way, that I know you can see the kind of the growth in it. So yeah, I think it's
really nice. It does.
It's good to take pictures of the tank. It's good to take pictures of the tank on like month one every month, because then you can see how it changes over time. And then if you try and get the same position over a 12-month period, you can then rapid fire and you can see the growth in the tank. I've seen people do that before, and I always regret not taking it month on month, because then you can really see how it's progressed.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was my so that weekend past there, I put my 4-month update on the YouTube channel. And the thumbnail for that I'd done was the tank shot. So I'm thinking that every month when I do my thumbnail for the tank shot for the update, I'll try and keep that same angle, the same everything, so that when you look at the thumbnails, you'll see them every month progressing. That's the hope anyway. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll just need to stick with it. But
show us your tank. But it's just show us your tank. I'm happy about that. Why don't we get to see your tank, Moxie? Why don't we get to see your tank anyway? Why do you have it on the live stream?
It's my mate, but Scott is winding me up there. So show me his tank.
I'm just looking at the comments here. I see Scott Morrison's asked if I'm doing a video on Nessie's shop. I will be doing that, but Nessie's Lair are waiting to get things sorted out before I can go, because they've just moved premises. So once they get everything set up and they're happy with it, then I'm going to go over and do a video of the shop so everybody can see that.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be definitely good.
Yeah.
Right, Jay. What's been happening in your reef this week?
Mate, it's been a busy one. So So obviously with the phosphate checker, when was that? That was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? The phosphate battle I was having.
Yeah.
Well, since the phosphate battle, I've had cyanobacteria. I know. And that was growing on the top of the rockwork up here. and I wasn't quite sure what it was at first. I had to watch a few videos and do some research. And apparently, cyanobacteria is from kind of different levels of flow. So if you change your flow, if you change your lighting, or if you've got an imbalance between your nutrients going in and out, so like overfeeding, using AB plus, or not exporting enough through filtration or skimmer. But so what I've done is I've removed the cyanobacteria using a siphon pump. So I've been using a little toothbrush and then just carefully scrubbing away at the rock to suck out this cyanobacteria. I only had a patch about 2 or 3 centimeters, so it wasn't too bad. Get it out of the tank, and then hopefully now that's dealt with and it's gone. But my phosphates, I posted on Instagram my latest phosphates, and they've dropped down to 0.06 now ppm. So that's all good. I've got a new product that I've purchased.
Cool.
There we go. Because you mentioned about glass cleaning, didn't you, Ross?
Yep.
I actually delved into stuff.
Nice.
So I was watching Bucks Reefers live on Instagram. Give him a shout out here. There you go. If you don't follow this guy, give him a follow. He's a really good Instagrammer. Bucks Reefer. So he did a live and he was using this stuff. And honest to God, right, when you've done your water change and you've like made your tank look really sweet, this is unbelievable, isn't it? Just to dress your tank and all your glass work and the shine. So I've been like super impressed with this product. It's really good. And I've compared it to like when you wash your car and you look at it, you think, oh, it's good. But if you don't put the tire dressing on it, it's not finished. No, it's not finished. If you do a water change and you haven't used that at the end, it's not finished, is it really? No. It just gives it that perfect shine, which is awesome. And the other thing I've done, right, I've been a bit crafty. So there's a guy on Instagram who has amazing photographs, right? Let me just I think people directed me to him. Where is he now? This guy here, right? So I reckon most people follow him. It's called Coral Fish Zoa. This guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So his tank is just unreal. So I was like, how do you get it so blue, right? How do you get that really pale blue look? And he's like, okay, I'll tell you how you do it. So this is what you have to do. He's got, mate, look at that. So that is high gloss white acrylic, right? Yeah. So he's obviously got a glass back tank on his main tank's glass back. So he's got white acrylic behind it, and obviously with the blue lights, then it makes it look like really pale blue. So I've got some of that now. I've had it. Oh, I don't know. Let's turn this thing off here. Sorry, my wave maker's just dropped down because I've took this off. So I've had this made to measure off the internet to fit obviously the side of the tank, and now I can get them like really pale blue shots from my corals and my fish and stuff like that. So yeah, awesome little tip that was. So nice. I've picked up some acrylic. So you'll see my Instagram pictures now, and my YouTube kind of down the reef might be a lot bluer, and that's the light's still the same, but it's just the white acrylic. Yeah.
Have you seen that guy? His previous tank, he had a floating reef. After that's why I've done one on the 170%. Yeah, so the floating reef you see on Sea Friendly Reef, the German guy.
Oh yeah.
He's one of his previous tanks. It's superb. He obviously hasn't got it now. He's broken it down, but loads of scollies and everything. Probably one of the best tanks I've seen, and one of the first floating reef that I've seen. And you go, wow, it's absolutely amazing. This guy just got a knack for, I suppose, creating great aquascapes, and then more importantly, being able to keep a tank on point all of the time, because it looks spotless, doesn't it?
Yeah. Don't say that word. It looks amazing.
I did regret feeling, why did I say that?
I looked at his tank. I just thought, how is he doing that? How is he getting those really pale blue shots? and I just think it looks nice. So if you're like into photography and reefing, there's the tip to put some white gloss acrylic behind your glass, and you can get that effect, which is pretty cool. So it only arrived yesterday, so I haven't really had much playing around with it yet, but I can't wait to get going with it. So it should be good.
Get some photos up, mate. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a go tomorrow with it. So high phosphates, cyanobacteria. What else have I done? I did a big water change to lower my phosphates as well, but that's not very exciting. My Fritz glass cleaner, that's awesome, and then my acrylic. That's it. Week done.
Right. Nice.
I just had a barbecue, which is really nice. Right, I'm gonna put this back in.
Nice. Well, Paul. Swiftly moving on to you, my mate. Anything new in the house?
Yeah, well, good, bad, and indifferent. So the good is I thought it was only a bleeding apple Scully, and it turned to be a reverse. I posted a picture on that. So the difference between the two is a bleeding apple would be majority green, and then you've got kind of orange red flecks in it, and it's the reverse. So most of it it's kind of more pinkish red. And then the flecks are green. So I'm really impressed with that. I saw some other people getting some Scullies, and I thought let's have another Scully. I got a war paint in this tank, so it's only really small. It's only about, I suppose, an inch in diameter, which is really small. And we talked about it last Friday quite a bit in terms of Scullies, so I've got that. So that was really good. The floating reef is really beginning to stabilise, and the SPS are beginning to colour up. So that's quite good. So that's ready for more frags, so I'm going to put some SPS in there just to start building that out. The bad news I had on this tank was one of the dosers dumped about 300 milliliters of magnesium in. Now I didn't think, and the magnesium went through the roof. I didn't think it would make any difference. So it could be a coincidence. So I lost the Setosa, which I always thought is pretty much bulletproof. So I got a massive 7-inch plating Setosa at the back of the tank, and there's only about an inch of it that hasn't stripped. And I also had a beach bum. I wouldn't say a frag, it's about 4 inches in diameter, and that's pretty much died as well. I've got a small corner that's okay. Now, I don't think it was the magnesium, because everything I've read says that high magnesium shouldn't make, certainly Monties, because I always think Monties are pretty solid. Very rarely have I lost a Monty SPS. In fact, I always say to people they're one of the bulletproof ones. So maybe it's a coincidence that I've virtually lost 2 colonies on there. So all I've done is I've done a 25% water change. It's just about 1,600. I'm just going to let it come down naturally because everything else looks okay. And I wasn't going to do really big water changes. So that's a bit frustrating. So it could be a coincidence. I don't know. I've put it down to that, but I've got no proof. It's not as if with ALK, if you end up dosing too much alkalinity, obviously that goes through the roof. That can make things strip. But I haven't seen anywhere. I don't know if anyone else has any experience of high magnesium spiking pretty quick and then it kills corals. I certainly haven't experienced that before, Steve. I don't know if you've seen anything or read anything to say that before.
No. I mean, on the Aquaforest stuff, if you're slightly out. So I run my magnesium around 1350-ish. But when I typed it in on the Aquaforest calculator, I just was messing about just to see roughly, and I typed it in at I wanted to raise it from 1350 to 1400, and it said something stupid that I had to dose, like liters, like stupid amount. I don't know whether it's because it's concentrated, less so it's really weak or what. I don't know. And it said in fact, I'll do it on my mobile phone and I'll tell you what it is. But it was absolutely something stupid. I couldn't believe it. So when you're saying that 300 mil, that's why I thought it can't be that much.
It's not that much. It's not diluted at all. No. I just can't believe it would do that. So I think it's just a coincidence that's happened, and then and it's the other Monties I've got are okay. So not as if it's all the Monties have just gone south at one go, but those two. But it's a Setosa that I've posted Setosas out to people before, and the pot's got crushed in the post. It's gone dry. The person's got it. They're putting it in a tank and it survived. It's just one of those things where the postman's just obviously kicked it around the sorting office. But so, I mean, fortunately, I've got 2 or 3 lumps of Totosa in the other 2 tanks. So it's not as if I've lost it and it's gutted, but I always think if you put something in a tank, if it dies, it dies. There's not much you can, as long as you've done everything you can. So yeah, I've had to replace the head on the Dosa. I mean, I've had that head on there for 5.5 years. You're supposed to replace the heads, I don't know, every year, every couple of years. So all 4 heads I calibrate and they're fine.
Yeah, we had this discussion with Dom, didn't we? Remember when I said I've got my Commode X4 and I was wondering, because obviously it's running continuous, and I said, would I have to change my dosing heads? Do you know what I mean? Remember? And he said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, but I always thought that maybe, you know, they do run out, or maybe the mechanism would wear out over time. Do you know what I mean? And when, for the sake of the price of them, which what are the £25, 24 quid, whatever it is for a Commode, just to replace them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, he said if it wasn't broke, don't fix it. He had one for going 6 years, I believe, didn't it?
Well, if you get the stepper motor, then they're not supposed to, because they're supposed to run 24/7 and use a stepper motor on a calcium reactor, and they just go all the time. They just run and run and run. The Apex heads cost I think about 42 quid. But to be fair, 5.5 years and you replace it, and it's 42 quid. I can live with that. It's just the frustration of the messing around, and I'm just glad it didn't happen to the alkalinity. So if I dumped kind of 500-600 mils of that in, that would have potentially killed it. That would have killed it. The SPS it would have anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's on that side. The Dosatronic's all set up. That's calibrated. I've done the first auto water change on the tank. That went really fine. The KH Keeper, I haven't finished setting that up because where I've positioned it, the way the tubing runs, the water filter on it won't go into the sump. So what I've done, I've ordered some more tubing. So it'll still be under 5 feet because you're not supposed to have the water filter over 5 feet. I'm waiting for that to come through, and I'll move the filter down to the right at the end, and then I can start using it. Because I've positioned it in the middle between the 2 tanks, and then potentially I could switch it from tank to tank on a daily basis. I'm not too sure what tank I'm going to run it on. But if I can use it on both, then that will be a benefit. So that was it really. And also I've just ordered a couple of Monties that potentially you can put together. And I can't remember the term there. It's an orange one and a green one. And they will not gel. What is it? Graft. So looking forward to trying that out. It's about 4 or 5 inches each piece. They come from the same colony, but they're different colors, and I'm just going to put them together and then see how that works out. So, you know, trying to get a grafted piece of Monty isn't always that easy, but it'd be nice just to chop up a couple of pieces and try that out myself. So that's that. I'm going to put a piece in each tank and see how that works.
Yeah. I mean, I did it, you know, on the back wall of where the weir is, and I tried to put a green one and put a thing, but then somebody said that you know the different strains, like the purple strain is like stronger than like the green one, and the red one than a green one, so it's more dominant. So you could put a red piece and a green piece together, and 9 times out of 10 the red piece will just take over, and that's exactly what's done in my tank. Is like the red has just like completely took over the green piece. So it's definitely I don't know how they actually do it, to be truthful. You know, how they actually graft them. I think it's just sheer luck, I think, that they take, you know, together. But if you guys know the recipe for doing it, then please let me know, because I just can't do it no matter what I do.
So I've seen a colony where it is grafted, and then they've got 2 separate pieces. So I'm just going to try it out and see how it works. It's not going to be that much. I think it's about 50 quid for two lumps. And so I'm just going to try it out. If it works, I can then frag it and sell some of the pieces on. So it's just trying something different, really. I haven't done before that. So just, other than that, it's been a quiet week.
Right. Oh, well, interesting. Well, for me, guys, well, you know me. If I'm not spending, I'm not happy. So obviously, you know what I mean. That's a joke. No, I started my week off. I've done the testing on the Monday. Just everything came back. I told you before that my nitrates. Jay got me into it, actually. My phosphates, sorry. I thought I need to test my phosphates because I very rarely do a test them. So, and I tested them, and they were through the roof. They were like Jay's 22, 23, 0.23. So obviously they were off the chart. So Whereas I only usually run the carbon in my reactor, I swap the carbon out, and then I actually put the roll phos. I bought some roll phos and I put roll phos in it, and then I put the carbon in a separate bag. So I did that. I cleaned the sump out with that little Hoover thing that I've got. I cleaned that because there was just a bit of, like slime in it. I don't know where the slime come from, to be truthful. I don't. Even now, I don't know where it came from. And then and then inside my Clarice, another thing that you never look at, you never take out. I looked at, and there must have been about 50 or 60 aptasias growing on the inside of it.
Really?
But yeah, which I could, all white. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. So I took that out, I stripped that, cleaned it all, and then put it back in. So obviously all the sump was all clean and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we went back onto the stream the other week, and I was talking about where the fish jumped out the tank. So I bit the bullet, and I decided to just buy the nets. So I bought one for the Nano, and I bought the one for my main display. And next time I'm going to get one specially made, because I'm not going to do that again. That's for sure. It was an absolute nightmare, mate. Those Red Sea nets. Oh, it was insane. I put the net down. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done it. You put the net down. It says don't pull it tight. So I didn't pull it tight. I just left it. Yeah, and I pushed it in. And then putting the spline in it, and then I moved it across, pressed the spline, slight little bit of pressure, and it ripped. And I was halfway around it, so I'm like, oh my! So I had to strip it all, and I did it like 3 times. I couldn't get the hang of it. So in the end, I was like, gonna smash it up, but I stuck with it, and I managed to do it after about 6 hours of doing it. Two nets, mate. 6 hours it took me.
What made you go with the Red Sea over the D&D, Steve?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any D&D ones in the store.
Right. Yeah, because I've fitted D&D before and not had a problem in terms of it splitting. It does say on the DE, pull it tight, because it's a larger one on a 5-foot tank. 2 of us had to do it. You pull it tight at one end, and as you say, you then splice it into the corners. But on that, they encourage it. I'm sure they do to pull it, otherwise it starts getting a bit saggy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And touch wood, I never had a problem with it splitting like that. Before, but I was going to ask, why didn't you? Because the DD ones I've used 2, and I think you've got it as well, Jay, haven't you? And Ross, you got the DD one as well, yeah.
Yeah, mine's a DD one, mate, and it's spot on, to be honest. Like you say, when I done mine, I didn't pull it tight, but I kept a slight bit of tension on it. That way, that when you roll the actual, like the cord as such that holds it in place in that little channel, when you roll that in, that just pulls it snug and then it's tight after that. So yeah, I think that was kind of the way that I done mine anyway. But
no, so like you said,
Steve, sorry, just jumping back to a comment that I noticed there. There was one from Colin McCallum saying there's a boy called Juan up here in Scotland, Fraggle Reef Frags, and he does grafted Monties that are stunning. Now, I've seen that page on Facebook called Fraggle Reef Frags. And I think it's maybe Fraggle Rock Frags, actually. I don't know if it's Fraggle Reef or Fraggle Rock Frags. But he does have the grafted Monties. They're not that expensive and they're really nice. So it's maybe worth having a look at that, actually.
Yeah, and then Scott said a comment there around it's a mutation, and unless you get something that's similar, one will overgrow or outcompete the other one. But I've been told the colony is the same, so it should graft okay. But you never know, Scott, what's going to happen, do you? They may be from the same colony, and all of a sudden they start attacking one another or outcompeting. But I'm sure one colour will probably outcompete the other, and then you just see how it goes. But I just want to try it, see if I can make it work or not. So you do see them from time to time around. They're not. I think they're becoming more common as more and more people import them. I think most of them have been imported from the States, from what I've seen. But I'm gonna give it a go. But if you can buy a ready-made piece, then
already
sounds
grafted,
good.
That's the way to go. If it's already grafted, then you know what I mean, it should be a good thing. I'll just quickly go on to this question here. Scott Morris has just put, how long does a Clarice roll? Well, for me, I mean, at the beginning, it does a roll will go fairly quick because it obviously depends on how much you've got, in your system. So it will go fairly quick, your first roll. But now my rolls last around about 3 months for my roll now, give or take a week, But I've got very little stuff in my tank, nitrates and stuff in my tank. So I think that might be a big part of it, but usually it's lasts for me for around about 3 months, and then I'm good to go with it. What about you?
Mine. Yeah, I set mine on brand new on the tank. So if you've already got a tank running, like you say, and you put it in, they can last 2 or 3 weeks, and you're surprised how much crap it pulls out. Mine is about 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
So it's the 3000. I have a 280 litre tank, quite a small tank, and I've only got 5 fish. So I've got a pair of clowns and 1 amphia and 2 wrasse. So that's a really light bioload, I would say. So they're brilliant until you have to change the roll. I find changing a roll is a complete pain in the ass. I end up having to take it out and change it. I just can't get the knack of it. The last time I changed it, I ended up having to change. I had to buy a brand new roll because it just wasn't rolling properly. And the good thing, when it doesn't roll, it bleeps. So you know there's something wrong with it. And after about 2 weeks, I just decided only about 14 quid the replacement rolls. And I just replaced it. And it was good as gold. But once it's set up and it's working okay, when I think I got filter socks on the 450 and I changed those twice a week. Yeah. And then on the Clarity, I just let it run for 4 or 5 months. It's a no-brainer. I probably wouldn't have a tank without one of those now. I would say. So I think they're fantastic. They're really good.
I agree.
I've seen quite a few debates during the week on that, with people saying, if you run a Clarity, do you have to run a skimmer, and do one cancel out the other, and so on. And it seemed to cause quite a bit of stir this week, actually, with different comments about that. So I wasn't really sure on it.
My understanding is that a skimmer also takes out some other stuff from the water base. I don't know the science behind it. My understanding that a skimmer adds something else in terms of what it pulls out of the water. I'm having real trouble growing Cheeto in the tank because the Clarity's pulling it out, and then there's not much there.
That's a belter of a comment there.
I've just got for barbecue, so I had time to feed my fish, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't fed my fish, and it's 8:30 at night here. So I've had to chuck some food in. Terrible.
Like you said, I think the skimmer just takes out, obviously the filter roll. If you think about it, 9 times out of 10 you put your filter roll right at the very beginning, aren't you? So you can run it a couple of ways. So you can run it actually directly plugged into your actual down tube, your down pipe. Or I know people where they run it just separate. They don't even have it plumbed in. They just run it in the first chamber and do it that way. But I think usually 9 times out of 10 it should be 2 to 3 months. But I did just see somebody say that it lasted here
18 days. It said.
Now, I'd love to know what your second roll lasted, because it's not usually going to be 18 days. And Big Ross is on the Fire and Cane Glenfiddich today. What are you on today, Jay? I shouldn't really ask you, Jay. You've got to be on the. I'm on the Strongbow.
Always the Old Faithful, the John Smiths.
Yeah, the John Smiths. Yeah, we forgot to mention that, didn't we? But usually it's about 2 to 3 months. I would have said on average, but depends on how dirty your tank is, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah,
as well.
And then fire load as well, and starting the size of the tank and all that kind of stuff. Scott Parker's put a comment on there around stapling the end of the old roll and then the new roll. You lose about 10 inches on that, which actually I think they're 50-meter rolls or whatever. They're pretty long, so that's not using a floor is not going to make any difference. So that's a good shout out.
Do you get almost aftermarket rolls as such, or is it just the standard Clarity ones you get, or do you get folk making almost like copy rolls as such?
I buy the standard Clarity one. They're not. I mean, they're 14 quid. I've seen people where they post that they've actually taken them off, washed them out, and then put them back on. I couldn't be asked for 14 quid. I must admit, I would not be able to. I wouldn't do that. But that's my laziness. And fair play, if someone can do that, I couldn't do it. They stink when you take them off. Not the much the top, but when you roll them out, and some of them are still a bit wet. It's not so much the top bit, but underneath it does pong a little bit, I find.
I actually seen somebody the other day on Instagram saying they reuse their filter floss. They wash it out and reuse it again, which I thought was a strange one. I bin mine every time, but.
Yeah. No, like you said, it's people. I mean, you know what I did do, because I said something a few weeks back, didn't I, Paul, about the Clarity, where I couldn't push it off the roll. It seemed so stiff on the roll, and I couldn't push it off. Yeah. So I thought, rather than breaking it, like being And somebody said, why don't you just use a Stanley blade? And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I just use
cut
it?
it
So
off.
when I changed my roll, I literally 2 swipes of it and it cut it completely off. So like, that's my way to go now. But yeah, use a Stanley blade if you can't get it off. Definitely helps. So like I said, I fixed these lid tops and they fit perfect. Don't get me wrong. Just like the D&D ones would, I would have thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They do, but there was a lot fiddly than meets the eye. You know what I mean? But they look all right. They look good, and hopefully they'll stop the fish from jumping out. So, and then I also put on the main display. I was talking the other week about whether I was going to go hybrid, whether I was going to go with T5s, and I was going to mix and match. Yeah. But then a lot of people, there was a few things people who said, why go that route? Why go that? You don't need it. There's enough light in your tank, which there was. I got the Senai out and I tested it, and there was enough. It was just at the front of the tank, at the front of the tank and in the corners. I was only getting 40 par in the corners, and like on the front, on the sand, I was only getting like 70, 80 on the front. So remember, I have my lights 12 inches off the top of the water. So obviously they're quite high. I could lower them, but I thought, they look all right the way they are. So I added a Orfec OR3 Blue Plus bar just on the front. Managed to do it. Got it off a friend, Scott. He's in here. Got it off Scott. I bought it off him. So I put it on the front and then I measured it with a par. We set it all up, measured it with a par. And in the corners now I'm getting 160 in the corners. I'm getting in those 6, yeah. And in the centre, I'm getting around 220, 230. That's crazy, mate. So just that little adjustment, with the light. So I'm running it now at 6 hours. I'm running it only 6 hours a day on them, just getting them used to it. And,
is that controllable steer, or is it just on a fixed schedule?
No, it's just a button. It's just a button on and off. But I put it on a timer, you see. So it comes on at 9:30. It goes off at 3:30. So you don't want to shock them too much, but definitely seeing the difference in some of the corals on the front. Definitely 100%.
And you get better spread of that as well, haven't you? Because you haven't got the pucks. Because it's a bar, you've got it the whole away, so you get a better spread and a more even spread, which is the whole thing of the hybrid, isn't it? Around the outside, you got the T5, so you get the spread, and then you got the focus in the middle, and you got the blue. So it's a different version of doing that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's all. That's all it is, mate. But for me, it wasn't. It was just getting more light at the front of the tank. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. So, like Scott said, and he did a valid point. Yeah. Why spend £500? Yeah, £600 on setting it all up. Yeah, when all you really need is light at the front, because most of my corals are more the centre and more to the front of the tank. There's not many at the back of the tank. So it would be a waste of money. So for the price of what I paid to set it up, it's cost me nothing hardly to set it up, a piece of metal string, and that's it. You know what I mean? And a bracket, and that's it. So it's gone really, really good. So I'm really.
Have you noticed there's less shadows and so on now, Steers, or between some of the SPS?
You know what? I'm in the process of doing videos, with it, showing what it's like on and what it's not like off. So, but when it comes, you'll be blown away with just the difference on it. You know what I mean? I'm not just exaggerating. I know people say, the crap, the shit, this, that, and the other, whatever, But at the end of the day, it's all about just getting a bit of par, a bit of light, more light to the front on the tank. Yeah,
just complements it. It just sounds like it just complements it. You wouldn't have it as a primary source of light, but it just helps when you've got your normal lights and your pucks, and it just adds to give a better spread, a bit more towards the front, and then you go from there. Yeah.
But it's other than that, mate. Yeah, it's been really good. So been very productive this week, and now I think tomorrow I'm going to be looking at getting a little Nemo fish for my tank now as well. So fingers crossed. He won't find a little half-inch gap at the back of the tank which I missed. You know what I mean? So,
what are you going to do? Are you going to try and find one of the same species, or what are you going to?
No, I actually seen one in Kraken Corals. I seen one. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was one of these, not the fancy ones, but it was a nice one. But there was a similar sort of size to the one I've got in my tank. So hopefully, if I put them in together, the similar sort of size, and I think they might take. So hopefully it's still there. But yeah. So I've got it's my birthday on Monday, so I'm going to have some birthday money, and I think I might treat myself to
happy birthday, mate.
To a new fish. So I think that's what my treat's going to be for myself.
Yeah.
So
Steve,
that's it.
With that, you don't really want the two clowns to be the same size. You want a little bit of differentiation in there, because what'll happen is they'll both fight to be dominant. And I've seen it before. When they're the same size, they'll absolutely kick the hell out of one another. And you see stories about when they say you want one smaller than the other, because then the smaller one will submit, and then it will become the male, and then the bigger one will stay the female. But if they're both the same size, they'll fight to the death. So therefore, you do want a bit of difference in it, not a massive amount, but you want to be able to tell the difference in the size on that. I would suggest, just from what I mean, I haven't experienced myself, but when I've had to replace clowns before, I've made sure the one I've got is smaller.
Yeah,
I've done the same thing. I think that's right. Yeah. You don't look a day over 50, 60.
Scott, I'm not going to go there.
You don't look a day over 56, mate. To be fair, you look good for it.
Looking pretty decent, mate.
You're looking good. You know your all-fat lights, Steve. Is it the colour that's improved, like the colour of your corals, or is it the growth, or what is it adding?
It's a different colour, you know. Unless you actually see them, they're not. It doesn't look like it's an LED light, if you know what I'm saying. You know, I switched my hydras off, and then I've just switched that on. I just left that one on, and it was a weird colour. So you know the way that it looked, it made the corals pop more. The corals seemed to stand out more. The greens stood out more. I don't know what they do with the lighting. I don't know if they're cheap lights. I don't really know, mate. You know what I mean? But the colour was totally different to like normal LEDs. So it's just more about, it gives a bit of more. Like Paul said, it's just disperses the light all in one line. So because it's like it's a bar, it's not a very wide angle. So what it is it's just a very narrow stream of light. So it's basically like that, you know, like a very stream
of light, basically.
But it's pinpointing the front of my tank, you see. So that's why when I measured it with the Senai, it was 40 in the corners, in both corners, and now I'm getting like 160, 170 in the corners, mate. So it's like totally different. It's like totally, you can see it. It's night and day. So for me, it's just about getting a little bit more evenly spread of light. I mean, I wouldn't run it all the time permanently. 100%, but no, they're really, really good, Jay. I really rate them. I mean, it's only been on for a week, so I can only say for what I've seen, up to now. But
anything that makes your corals look better is worth the money, isn't it? Because corals are so expensive nowadays. You know, you want them to look good in your tank. You want them to kind of, you get all the contrasting colours, and I'm guessing that's what it does. And I mean, I've seen some tanks with them on; they look amazing. So I know your tank's awesome. So I can't wait to see the old feck on there.
Oh, mate, like I said, I'm in the process of filming. I'm filming like 5 or 6 different videos, you know, but I'm going to join them all together, you know, all at once. And then you'll be able to see like the difference between when they're shutting down, when they're ramping up, when they're just on their own and stuff like that. You'll be blown away, mate, because
are you always, is the plan just to keep just one? Because I know a lot of people have 2, don't they? They run one either side.
No, I'm just going to keep the one, Jay. I'm just going to keep the one because I think just like I said, any more, I think it'll just be too bright.
Overkill.
Overkill. So I think just the one at the front, running it 6 hours a day, I think is more than enough. You know what I mean? So and it seems to be working. So only time will tell, won't it, Jay? You know what I mean? But I think like Scott has just said there. He's just said that they're 5-watt Cree LEDs, so they have a higher UV for colour pop. So, which is definitely what you see. It's definitely what you see when you turn your normal LEDs off. Put them on, it pops the colour. You know, especially the greens. It brings the green out a lot more and stuff like it. It's weird. It's a weird. You've got to see them. I didn't really, to be truthful, it was only him mentioning it and a few other reefers who mentioned them saying, "Why don't you try the Orfex and stuff like that?" I didn't really know much about them, to be truthful. And then I looked into them and I thought, you know what, they do look pretty good, them actually, just to get a bit of light. But so far so good. But other than that, guys, a little bit of productive week. that's been my week in general, really. And then, like I said, weekend, hopefully, I'm gonna go and get I'm gonna go get a clownfish or something. You know what I mean, and just add it to the tank. So that's gonna be my week done.
Yeah,
good,
Steve. I tell you what, there was a couple of comments earlier on. There was Highland Reefer was talking about the Clarity, about LLFS was saying about the Clarity loads out the system, and then there was Bravo 20 talking about running overflow straight into the sump, so that you don't kill the nutrients. And worried about over filtering. What I did when I set up the tank, I had the gate open. So the Clarity wasn't working because I was mindful. You see people set up tanks and they've got tons of filtration in there, but not a lot of bioload. So I didn't have the Clarity running when I first set it up, and I'd done a 4-month cycle until I could see the nutrients going up and there was nutrients in there. Then I closed the gate and then see how it goes. There was still nutrients. Then I set up the refugium. So I didn't put all of the filtration live from day one. Because you do see that people set up tanks, they throw not much fish in there, full filtration, and then they'll go dinos straight away. They get dinos and cyano, all kinds of things, because you're over filtering the tank because it's hasn't got much of a bioload. It's a bit different if you've got a fully loaded with fish. So I think there's some good comments in there about you build up the filtration as you build up your bioload.
Yeah, well, they do say, don't they, that to have the gate valve closed when you just put in, because it's taking out the majority of the nutrients and all the stuff, the bioload out of it at the beginning. Yeah, but if you do want to keep your roll, slightly longer than you're usually getting, all you got to do is, like you said, just open that gate valve, more nutrient, because that works. For instance, if, like Paul said, if you've got very low nutrients in your tank, so you're running at, like, say, 2 ppm or 1 ppm, and you want to raise it up to 5, maybe 6, whatever you want, you just open that gate valve and more nutrients and more things will flow through it as opposed to being stopped by the Clarity. So and plus it'll also save your roll as well, because your roll will last longer. So you're in a win-win situation there. You're going to raise your nutrients up and your roll's going to last longer. So like you said, Paul, very good point, really. It's just it's entirely down to the individual if they want to have a really clean system, you know what I mean, or a really low nutrient system. That's that. I run mine just slightly open on my valve. When I say slightly, maybe about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. That's it. Very open, and that's all. Just a little bit going through, but that's all I run mine at.
It is interesting though. If you looked at Facebook and different groups maybe 3 years ago, running ultra low nutrient systems was the in thing, and take it down. But I don't see as many people trying to get that objective anymore because of taking it too low just causes too many problems. And actually, it's not as good for the corals as people once thought. You have to then put loads of food in and feeding the corals to supplement because you're taking too much out. I'm not saying people don't do ultra low nutrients, but it doesn't seem as much of a craze as it was if you went back 2 or 3 years. I think we understand the biology a bit more.
Absolutely, and there's more technology now out now, isn't there, Paul? As well, you know what I mean. With it all, people, like years and years ago, we never had Clarities. Years and years ago, we never had all this liquid form where it could take nitrates out, it could take phosphates out. We never had all of this stuff. You know what I mean? People were running 9 times out of 10 running refugiums. They were running the filter forces and stuff like that. But now we're spoiled in this area of reefing. We're spoiled, in my opinion, because, like I said, I don't do water changes on my tank. All I run is the Clarity. I don't run no carbon source, or don't run no pox. I don't run anything like that. And my tank, touch wood, seems to be stable. And all I can put that down to is the Clarity is a big point, and having a really good protein skimmer. You know what I mean? But you don't want to go overboard on the skimmer, because I've heard people stepping and going too big a skimmer for the tank, and it takes out too much out of the tank. And no matter what they do to raise nutrients, it won't come down. You know what I mean? I had a friend like that, and he bought a 160 for a 200-litre tank. A NIOS 160. It was just way overkill. And no matter what he fed that tank, no matter what he did, the skimmer took everything out, and it was spotless. It was clean. He couldn't get it raised up, and he sold it in the end. So he sold it like £150 cheaper than what he paid for it, because it was just too big, for the tank.
But that used to be the thing. It used to be go double, at least double on the capacity of the skimmer compared to the tank. I haven't seen that so much now around going double. I mean, I'm probably double on the 450 because I do no pox. I want that to be able to pull it out with the bioload. But I don't see so much people going as big as you can possibly fit anymore because you've got other stuff, like you say, that helps pull the nutrients and all the crap out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just looking down here, see if anybody's said anything. Is there anything you guys want to ask any of the guys? I'm sure we'll be more than helpful.
I don't know if we should open it up to that, Steve. If the Scottish crowd's in there, it could get a bit out of hand.
I've only seen a few of the Scottish lads in. I've not seen. Where's the other Scottish lad, the younger lad who was having a bit of a problem with his tank? What's his name now?
Adam. Is it Adam Boyle?
Adam Boyle. Adam Boyle's not in the house, is he? I don't think. I've not seen him.
I don't know. We've got Highland Reefer. We've got Bravo 20. We've got Colin. There's a few of the usuals in here.
Yeah, we've got the usual crew in. But I've not seen...
Adam's there now. There he is.
Is he in?
He's there.
Super Yellow Tangs just come in. Has he? Or has he been in for it? I've not seen him mention anything.
It's his first comment, I think.
I think it is, isn't it? Who thinks Coral has got... Well, we spoke about this. Was it last week? Who thinks got... And I do believe Coral is going up every week. Seems to be going up it's more expensive every week. When you look at it, I absolutely agree with that. That's for sure. And not only that though, I mean in my local LFS, I'm seeing like little tiny, Ceratopia and Stylopoda flags, little Stylopoda flags going for like £15 for a 1.5 inch thing. I mean, I'm like, this is crazy. You could get them for £5, not long ago, and it's like I don't know why they're selling them for so much. The cheaper coral are going for really dear prices now.
Yeah, I think then where you can rely on, if you know reefers that are local, that's where you can get bargains by swapping with one another, and people that tend to sell you corals cheaper, or you certainly get cheaper than an LFS. So I've got a lot of my corals I've got from people that I know locally, and we've swapped, and over time they'll give me a piece and I give them a piece of coral. And that's still around if you've got quite a good network around you to be able to do that. So that's where I've got probably, I'd say over half the coral I've got is from people locally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's AM Corals just put a comment in there, Steve, saying price of corals going up for even shops to get in. So I mean, I think that's probably a big thing where, transport costs in general. When my gaffer at work, he has storage containers that he basically, rents out to people to store, house moves and so on. And I know that the cost of a container for him to buy has doubled recently from what it was before. So, if shipping containers alone are doubling, transport costs are rising, then, they're going to get ridiculous, isn't it? So, I think
Dom said that when he was on the live stream, didn't he, about the shipping containers with the tanks, the fish tanks, didn't he? He says if you have a ship full of containers of say Hannah checkers and test kits, you're going to get a lot more, so the prices can be low. But if they're still charging you the same amount for a shipping container where you're only putting say 50 Red Sea reefer tanks, for argument's sake, then the prices of the reefer tanks are going to go through the roof because they're still charging you the same amount. You know what I mean? And like you said, until that comes down, I think it's prices of this hobby is just going to go through the roof still, in my opinion, but which is a shame because it limits the new people getting into the hobby because they see the price of it. Like you said, Jay, and you have as well, Ross. Yeah, if you'd have known the price of it, you'd have probably maybe thought twice about thinking, what should I go into this hobby? You know what I mean? It's costing a lot of money. It's not a cheap hobby to get into. It's just one of those ones because you're just paying out all the time on it. So
yeah.
But do you think there's an expectation where people feel they need to have a gold torch or they need to have a bounce mushroom and stuff like that? Because when I started out, I mean, it was a lot cheaper. I didn't go for the expensive corals. There didn't seem to be that demand or that you feel that you need to go for it. Whereas I do feel there's a bit more where a lot more people got torches, so therefore more people buy torches. And
I know
the in thing and the thing that's trendy. I don't know. It could just be my perception. I don't know.
Yeah, well, on that one with me, obviously just starting out, so you know, I picked corals that I knew I could kind of look after, like zoas, mushrooms, and so on. You know, just for starting out, and I picked ones that the colour was really nice on. I liked the colours of, but it's the same thing. I mean, so many people message you, say, "Oh, you need to get a torch in there, or you need to get this, and need to get that," and you know, it's one of those that you think, is that what I need as such as they say, or is that just what, you know, the common kind of, well, everybody must have this and must have that. So I've went with what I like and what I want in my tank. And you know, it's one of those things that people constantly message and say, you need this, you need that, but you don't. You put in the tank what you want, what you like, what you think's nice.
I agree, mate. I mean, I suppose at the end, I mean, for me, don't get me wrong, I do love, you know, I love euphyllian and stuff like that. I love all those sort of things, but I am swaying towards more like the SPS. Where you see some SPS dominant tanks and you see them, your mind gets blown, especially if it's like stacked. I mean, Scott, he's got an SPS tank that like is just mind blowing, and he's going through a build now. But it's absolutely, it's incredible. His tank is, but it's just predominantly SPS. So I suppose it goes on what you want, don't you? You know, for me, I like a bit of everything. So I like LPS, I like softies, you know, I like SPS. So that's why I've gone for a mixed reef. But yourself, like Jake, he's gone for more like softies, LPS. So, but it doesn't mean that he's not going to go for SPS. You know, when you know, in the future, he might do the same as you, Ross. So it depends on the person, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what it is it's such a privileged hobby to be in. I mean, we've got rare corals from the sea in our homes. You know, it's pretty special stuff. And if you've watched Netflix and Seaspiracy and stuff like that, you know, it's quite hard to get hold of these corals now and these fish. And the conservation levels are rising. And it's going to be even harder for us to be able to source this stuff. So if you want it, you're going to have to pay for it. But it's you know, we're so lucky. Everybody who's on this chat who's got a reef tank in their own home, who can enjoy it, and you know, you've got a little slice of ocean there. It's. I mean, I don't know anybody else. You know, apart from fellow hobbyists here. You know, no family or friends have got this in their home. You got to pay a bit of a price for that. Really rare, you know, hobby and tank in your home. I mean, it's special, really special.
Yeah,
you can't forget that.
It comes on to people, like we've said before, people naming zoas, people naming corals. Yeah, do you really need this like holy grail torch? Yeah, listen, it's a torch, but it's like so colourful. Yeah, has somebody named it Holy Grail? Somebody must have named it a Holy Grail. Yeah, as it, you know. The dragon soul, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Why did they call it a dragon soul? It's just it's a beautiful coral. You know what I mean? It's a torch coral, but but when you put that name
on, different variant, isn't it?
You know what I mean? Like if it was just if somebody labelled it a yellow and green torch coral, yeah, would you know, you'll go, oh yeah, it's really nice. That how much is that? Yeah, £80. But the moment they say it's a dragon soul or a holy grail, yeah, you go, how much is that? £250. Oh, it's nice. Yeah, I'll have it. And that's us as reefers. As long as we keep paying for it, yeah, the prices will stay high. When people stop buying them, then I think they're going to come low. But you know what? As long as we keep buying them,
I don't think they're ever going to go low again. I think they'll stay high. Because conservation is only going to increase around the world. And there'll come a point where you can't buy corals from the sea. Whatever's in the hobby will just be where you have to buy it from. So going back to Paul's point about us buying from each other and kind of swapping and these frag swaps and stuff like that, that's going to be really important for the hobby, because there will be a point where you can't get fish out of the sea and you can't collect corals from the sea. It will get to that stage. Not anytime soon, I don't think, but it will get to that stage. And you know, it's, if you want to be in the hobby, you've got to pay these prices, and I don't think they're going to go down.
And also, if you want to be an LFS, I've seen some that are actually starting their own coral farms and starting to propagate their own to make it more sustainable. So where there's a ban, they've got their own farms and they're able to then keep up with the stock. And of course, that's more overheads and everything else that goes with it, but then they're less reliant on imports. I think it's AAC. I can't remember if he sells. I think about a third of the coral he sells comes from the coral farm.
Yeah.
I think it's about a third. It might be a little bit more, but it's becoming more every year. Where it's expanded, it's more and more. And if you look at like WWC, look at the farm they've got in America. I know the hobby is like completely off a different scale, but look at the sustainability there and Top Shelf Aquatics and people like that, where they've got massive units and they're growing out and fragging, and some of them are swapping to get new colonies and stuff. So I think the sustainability is only going to increase, because to be reliant on it being shipped halfway through the world, and then it not being cut off with a ban overnight, which is what's happened, like look happening in Indo, for example.
The yellow tanks, and
then Hawaii and stuff like that. To have your business reliant on that, that's probably even more scary. Where you just have no stock. That's probably the worst thing ever.
I couldn't agree more, Paul. The future of this hobby lies in aquaculture, and people like just a little plug for Reef King. Obviously, he's got a coral room. All these people that sell these coral rooms, these are really important people for the hobby to keep the corals going, keep the market flowing, because that's where it's going to be in the future. It's going to be aquaculture, sustainable aquaculture.
Just going on to Reef King, I think the time has come for our fellow reefer to join us. So I'm going to click on thing, and here we are. We're joined by the Reef King.
There he is.
Here we go, Reef King.
You lying down, Cole?
I couldn't get the computer going, so I have to do it on my phone. So what's that? You all right?
Good.
Yeah, really good.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to sit up here because it's quite small on here. Just bear with me 1 minute. How's it going? What?
How's it going, mate?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm a bit small on here, but that's all right. What's going on?
We're just talking about the importance of like coral rooms and aquaculture for the future of the hobby, because the price of corals has gone up so much. People like you who bring corals to the hobbyist is really important.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the oceans, without going on too much about that, to be honest with you, because I don't know too much on it, but it is getting a little bit wiped out. But it is good to, it's a hobby thing. It's just good to grow your own stuff. And if you can break it and sell a bit and make a little bit, and some of that money goes back into it, it's just extending it, isn't it, really, to be honest with you? And the oceans are in a bad way. I was having this conversation today with a fella. When I sell corals, now, like I say, I'm not gonna overtake your channel, because I will do, because you'll know I can talk. But I
hadn't noticed.
Yeah. Well, if you go to your LFS, 9 times out of 10 you buy some corals, they all come in plastic bags. Yeah. Am I wrong or am I right on that one?
Yeah.
No, but it's true, and the ocean's just all smashed with bags and everything. But I literally sell the little cups, and I say to them, listen, when you come back round, bring them cups with you, so I ain't got to use bags. 9 times out of 10 they forget, to be honest with you, but they're like recycling every time someone comes round. So,
Yeah,
that's quite a good idea, actually, because see, any bags I've had from fish shops, the bags just go straight in the bin. I don't keep them.
Yeah.
Whereas I've got the little pots that people send me coral in, and they're still in the cupboard, so I keep them.
Yeah, and you should, by rights, if we're reefers and we want to keep the oceans alive, like I say, I'm not going to get political on this, but if we want to keep the oceans alive and save the planet and all that kind of larky, then realistically, the bag thing is a bad situation. Like I say, I'll give the little containers, they come back, they bring them back, I put their Zoas in them or their SPS, and then it's just recycled every single time,
Exactly, yeah. Valid point. I'm the same as you, Carl. When I sell things, I have the pea pots. That's all they are. The pea pots. You know what I mean? And
that's what I use. They're not that expensive on eBay or wherever you get them from. It's just I feel like for me it's just saving a little bit of what we need to do. So if I can help a bit, it is small compared to most things, but
Exactly. Yeah.
The other thing I was discussing earlier on, Carl, was around, if I look at my corals in the tank, probably about 50% of the corals over the years I've bought locally from other reefers, I've swapped with other people, and you build up a little network of people that if you're lucky, around Hertfordshire and Essex, there's quite a lot of reefers in there, just as there is in Manchester.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you get to know people, and then you just swap things and you pass them on to one of it, keeps the cost down. And also to that point, you can then share the hobby. And I think there's quite a lot of enjoyment. Personally, there's a lot of enjoyment in that, in growing it out and then swapping it with other people. I don't know if that still goes on as much as when I started. I haven't been in it that long, 6-7 years ago. But I don't know. What do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't think that's as much as it used to be. Like I say, I mean, to be honest with you, me personally, when it comes to reefing, I mean, I just do my own thing. I know people, and you do get to know people, but what's in your tank is not necessarily what I'm going to like in my tank. But I do think it's good because, funny enough, a geezer come around the other day and he bought me some Zoas, right? I mean, I don't expect anybody from anything from anyone. That's just the way I am. But he bought me some Zoas round, and I thought that was quite nice because he didn't have to. I mean, he's coming to the coral room. And I said to him, you don't have to do me anything. He was like, no, I want you to see him and this, that, and the other. I mean, I sorted him out, but I think it is good. But I don't know, I think it's a dying trend, isn't it? Not really so much, it happens so much now. I mean, everybody's on their own mission, aren't they?
Yeah, but you know what, though? This is why, I think these, these coral frag meets, at LFS stores and stuff, are great. Because people that like yourself, you don't need. But what you have, you might not have what I've got. Do you know what I mean? And I'm vice versa. So if you go to a coral frag swap or whatever, I could swap some of that I've not got of you, and you could have some off mine. And I think that way you're getting some of what you would never probably buy, but you are. If you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the way I think the great ideas in America they do them all the time.
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to understand, in America, I mean, it's massive. In the States.
Well,
he's gone.
He's
gone.
Disconnected. Sorry about that. He's actually gone offline.
Has he dropped out again?
Hey?
That's a really good point about the recycling the cups and things. That's good. It's a bit like what Costa and Starbucks do to keep the plastic down there, isn't it? If you take your mug along, you get a little bit of a discount. What was that JB Aquatic said about 10% off? Is that what they do at their shop then?
King, are you back?
It looks like he's frozen.
Yeah, he's back.
Are you back?
Yeah, it's the internet in my kitchen. It's absolutely shocking. Where was we?
Yeah, we were talking about coral flag swaps and stuff
Flag
like
swaps.
that.
In America. Is he still there?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good idea. It is a good idea if you can go there and you've got something else that someone else wants and it's not going to cost you money, then that's perfect. I mean, I think it's a good thing. But like I say, over here in this country, I don't think it's like a regular thing like in the States. The weather's not here. If we had summer all year round, you'd be like, I'll come round. Yeah, we'll sort it out at the weekend. But it just don't really happen here, does it?
Yeah,
no.
Exactly, yeah. I suppose.
And then there was silence.
Are you still there? Yeah, you're still there. Yeah, so I just noted a few things.
Yeah,
I just jotted a few things down there.
Is it laggy or...
It's a little bit laggy, just a little bit, yeah. It's like you're on the moon. It's like you're on the moon.
Yeah, I am on the moon. It's right. It's the internet and it's gas shocking. Right. Go on, how about now?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
That's good.
So what I wanted to ask you really, and basically I've just jotted a few things down, Reef King. So Carl, basically like how long you've been in the reefing game and what actually got you into it. That's what I think a lot of people want to know.
Right. Well, I've only been in it realistically about 4.5 years, something like that. So it ain't been too long. And without going too in depth, I had a few problems like going on in the personal life, but which we go on. And once I finished the knowledge, which is the black cab, all that studying, when you study the knowledge, it was literally studying 4 hours a night, 7 nights, every single. I had nothing to do, and do you know what? My first tank was a little better fish tank, and I was looking at it, and I thought, this is crap. And it was funny. I went on Aaron's Aquarium, and I just watched videos for about 6 months on how to do everything, and that was it to chill me out. Really, that's why I got into the office. Give me something to do because I can't sit down for longer than 2 seconds. I'm always busy. I don't know what it is. It's just in me. But yeah, that's how I got into it, really. And I just research everything and study absolutely everything. I always have done, and I've been doing that for years. But I'd say about 4.5 years, maybe 5. I think more 4.5, to be honest with you. Some of you lot have been doing it longer than me.
So what made you then go from that to set up the coral room? Because that's quite a big jump, isn't it? From one tank to having multiple tanks.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. I tell you what it is. I wanted more corals for one because I like them all. I've not got no particular. I like them all. I mean, even and stuff like that, GSP. And I just wanted a bigger tank. And let's be realistically, you can't have 1 million tanks in the back of your house. It just ain't gonna happen. And luckily enough, at my dad's place, I just thought, this would be ideal. Just bung a load of. I can just put everything I want in here. If I want a NEM tank, I can have a NEM tank. If I want an SPS, and that's how it started. Even the selling of corals was never really. It's more of a hobby for me, but it just panned into it. And plus, to be honest with you, when I set that up, we was in the heart of coronavirus, and as I say, I need to be busy. I can't sit down for longer than 2 minutes, so I needed something to do.
Yeah.
With the ideal opportunity, I thought, you know what? Let's just set it up and see how we get on, and you know what? It's like I say, a lot of research. I do a lot of research. Like I say, most people don't, like you say, Jay was having a barbecue and stuff like that. Literally, I come in, I talk to my kids are old enough, they do their own thing. I sit on BRS for 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? Just how it is.
Yeah. Harold's just put down, sell some of that coral and get better internet, Carl.
Well, you know what? And this is another thing, is I ain't really computer literate. I'll be honest with you. I'm not very good at it. But I mean,
neither am I, mate. Neither am I.
Has it gone off? I mean, and that's just the way it is. You try and get. I was speaking to a fella today about websites, and he just confused the hell out of me. I said, "Listen, I just pay you do it. That's your job."
Yeah.
So basically, you just got hooked like the rest of us. You got one tank and you just wanted more coral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like I say, if you look at some of the videos, I went bigger and picked up a tank off of what's his name, Ash, who he lives in Ilford, round the corner from you.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was just too big, and then I went straight to the Red Sea Max Nano, and literally I filled that Red Sea Max Nano up. I mean, I had it as a Zoa garden. My whole plan was, it's not an SPS. It's never going to be an SPS. It's too small. That realistically, I thought I'd just make a really, really nice Zoa garden and have a few at the bottom. But within the space of about a month, I was gone. I was like, mate, I need a bigger tank. But I ain't even got a tank in this house now. I've got my son's one. But it's meant to be coming, so.
He was. Is he still there? Is he there?
Yeah.
it just freezes.
Yeah, I watched your little nano tank every single video because that's what made me buy the Red Sea Max Nano. When I watched your little series on the little Red Sea Max Nano, you did a really great job with it. And that's you convinced me for your videos to start with that tank because you made it, You see that?
I think
They're a perfect tank.
I think it's like,
They're a perfect tank. They're all in one.
Yeah.
yeah. Are you there, Carl? Yeah.
Honey.
I think those all-in-one tanks are pretty good. Sorry, go on, Carl.
You need to put the 50 pence in the meter.
Wind it up.
Someone said he's on his neighbour's internet, which made me laugh.
Yeah, are you there?
No, I mean the
there,
nano
Carl?
tank. They're all in ones are good for beginners. To
Yeah.
learn, but you.
I know what you mean. I started off in an all-in-one. It was the Fluval M90. It's only about 130 litres, but it hasn't got a sump or anything. And I deliberately did that just to try it out. Because you spend all that money, and if you don't like it, you've sunk a lot of money into something, and you think, nah, I didn't fancy it. So I just got a smaller tank, learned from it for 12 months, a bit like what you're doing, Jay. And then all of a sudden you think, love it, you're hooked, and then you upgrade. So I went from the 130 to the 450 litres kind of overnight. But I stuck it for 12 months just to see, did I really like it, and did I have the time to do it? Because you do need a bit of time. You can't really neglect it if you want to keep the animals alive, can you?
Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says. When you start small,
you
will go larger in this hobby. You will go larger in the hobby. You know what I mean? You will not. You just all you do is you just go bigger, bigger, bigger. And
how do you go bigger? How do you go bigger than a coral room? That's what I want to know.
Well,
it's gonna be have to upgrade from there, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's gonna be very difficult.
Are you there, Carl?
But he's having a coral room. I don't know if you can hear me. We're cracking up, but the coral room's not. It's not. Sometimes I do think I'd just turn it in because it's quite hard work to keep it going. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Has it worked out more expensive than you originally thought when you set it up? Because I know you were trying to set it up as a little side income to your at that time, but you're trying to do it on a quite a modest budget. But now it looks like you've gone, quite in on it.
I mean, well, I mean, it's really weird. I've never really kept a track on the monies, to be honest with you. I just, like I say, the tanks. I bought up the tanks, but now, I mean, ND, they sort me out my tank. I don't pay for them now, which I'm giving him a plug. But corals. In all fairness, it's the corals that cost the money. I mean, that's just I can do £1,000 pretty straight, like in 10 minutes, and. What you got to understand is when you're selling stuff, you can have all stuff is going to set you back 20-30 grand easy. It's just too much money. So I sort of tend to do a bit of everything. Makes sense. Yeah. But like I say, it's a hobby, and I don't pay for the room. It's in my dad's house. The back of the house is massive. And should we knock down the other one and put two together? I ain't got to pay for it. I mean, I'll give him a little bit of like 50, 60 quid of electric money, but that's all it's really costing me, unless pumps go or something else goes.
Yeah.
But it can, I'll be honest with you, many a times it stressed me out so much that I just want to tank indoors with some nice bits and forget about it, And then with the YouTube thing, I mean, I don't know everything. There's loads of people out there very, very clued up when it comes to this. Luckily enough, I know them. And so I can ask them questions, but sometimes just keeping it simple is the best thing, because I have to keep it simple. Yeah, did you get all that, or did we freeze up?
No, we heard it.
It's a good place to have a cold room anyway, because you have they bring cups of tea and biscuits and food all the time. So I'd definitely have a cold room there, mate. It's a good venue. Cups of tea on hand. She looks after you.
My mum and dad are sweet as man.
She does.
My mum, and it's pretty good there. So
she is, yeah.
With that one.
So do you?
So what's the latest fine?
Do you go down? Do you go down there every day, Carl, to your parents? Go down to the coral room every day?
Not every day. I mean, when we was in full lockdown, probably every other day. Every other day. But in the lockdown, I was there quite a lot. Because see, we can't do nothing. Do you know what I mean? And I can't sit at home because it'd do me head in. So I used to go in there and I just keep an eye on stuff. And obviously, like my mum and dad was in the bubble, so that was all right. But now, obviously, the lockdown's over. I've got to get back in the cab and get back into London and get back on a DJ and bits and bobs like that. So it will be a little bit different now. I mean, but I'm not gonna, I've got other tanks coming, but it's a process that I don't know how it's gonna go.
Yeah,
if you know.
That was going to be my next question. Was where do you see your fish room going? Do you see it like expanding? Are you going to go SPS more? Are you going to do like more SPS, or are you going to just stick to like LPS or softies? What do you think?
Well, the main plan in the coral room was literally an SPS dominant tank, an LPS dominant, an LPS dominant tank, and a softy one, because all of them 3 different tanks require 3 different things. Now, for me personally, I've got the SPS linked into the same sump as the softies, and it can cause kind of a bit of a problem to keep the SPS going with the dosing and that red DAB and the iodine and all that kind of stuff. The softies don't like it. Plus, is when I with the nukes and stuff like that. I mean the phosphates. I don't like my phosphates. At the moment they're 0.02, right, which is too low for me. Yeah, my nitrate is too low. The S tanks love it. Yeah, trust me, they're oozing out. They love it. But the softy tank screaming, help me, because I'm like a dirty tank.
Yeah.
You know?
So are they shriveling up?
Are the
softies shriveling up?
Day. People.
Go on.
No, they're not. They're not, because what? And the way I have to do until the other tanks turn up is I've literally got 2 tanks and a couple of other fish in there, nothing too major. I feed that softy like 4 cubes for 3 fish.
Yeah.
So I can get the nutrients up. And by the time when you're talking about rollers and stuff like that, all I've got is a water sock and a skimmer. And it's too much out, you know what I mean? But once I get the other tanks set up, the SPS dominant will be crystal clear, will be dosing, love it, and then the SPS will go back to high nutrients, high phosphates, and all that, because they thrive. I mean, they're thriving in there at the moment, but I can just tell. And it's not so much Duncan's, right? I mean, they will show you, but I find that a good tester in your tank is mushrooms.
Yeah.
If your mushrooms ain't looking that happy, and your Xenia, like I say, I sell loads of Xenia. Someone bought loads of it today off me. If your Xenia is not happy, it means your tank is stripped.
Yeah, it's shriveled up, doesn't it, Xenia?
Am I cracking up?
Yeah.
Or what?
No, we got it. I heard the last thing you said, which was about Xenia, and you're right. It's quite a good test one to say, if it's too clean, it just shrivels, doesn't it? Quite often, I've seen that.
Yeah. Like you said, the mushrooms and the Xenia are definitely like. they're like the indicators, aren't they?
It's kind of like your Duncans as well, isn't it?
Duncans are the same, yeah. If your tanks,
well, I mean, Duncan are, but Xenia is the one. I mean, when I first started, when I was on I used to watch Tidal Gardens. I mean, and that he's the man when it comes to like trust me, he's the man. And there is other ones. But he said if you can keep Xenia alive and keep that thriving back in the day, then you're at the top of the tree. And how many people do you say soft coral Xenia? I can't keep it time because you sucked all nutrients out of your tank because you're worried about number crunching, and that's what it is. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, when I go in the coral room, if I look at the mushroom, they're not happy. I look at the zinnia, they're not happy. Then I know that there's some kind of problem. But I'll be honest with you, everything's perfect in there at the moment. And it has for 6 months. But
Yeah.
I will have, like I say, with the SPS tank, I want that on its own. But until I get the other tanks, which is taking forever.
Yeah. I tell you what about soft corals. I think they're underrated. There was I was watching a video the other day, Inappropriate Reefer.
Yeah.
I was watching Inappropriate Reefer, and he's got a small tank, but it's a softy tank pretty much, and he's got mangrove in it. And I thought it looked absolutely fantastic in terms of, you know, some ones you would call basic corals, but he had a few zoas, some levers and other things like that. And it looked really, really nice. The lighting was white as well, which usually, you know, we associate tanks more with bluer lighting. But I thought it was really good, the way he'd set it up. And they had a mangrove in it, been growing about 3.5 years old, this mangrove. And I just thought it looked very different to most tanks you see today.
Yeah.
And because everyone goes after LPS and SPS, and I must admit, if I set the next tank I'll set up, it's a smaller one, I'll probably go all softies and do something a bit different with those, just 2 or 3 fish, have the Xenia back, because Xenia was my first ever coral I bought many moons ago as well. So I think it's an underrated coral.
Yeah, definitely.
And softies as well, just a personal view on that. And also the price ain't too bad either.
Well, I mean,
I think
his tank. He's a softy tank run for 25 years.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done water change in 25 years. Just auto top up. It's a softy tank, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just what happens is, without getting political, is everybody, and I get it. Everyone wants, you know, I've got to have that, and I've got to have that, and I've got to have that, and then he sees that and says, I've got to have that, which is fine. I mean, that's cool, but I mean, I like levers. I really do. I think they're stunning. You get the nice cheese ones, the mint greens, stunning. Do you know what I mean? But I like it all. I mean, I like softies, LPS and SPS. I mean, yes, it's just stupid money for me. I won't go down that route, to be honest with you, unless somebody gives it to me.
Yeah. Just
have you copyrighted the phrase "super simple reef"? Because it's a really good little phrase, and how you're disproving that the hobby is really expensive through your little super simple reef. It's thriving. I mean, the little puffers and the corals you've got in there. I know it's Reef Princess tank, but you've done it on a budget, and it can be done, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The super simple reef.
Well, I mean, like I say, it's as far as you want to go with it. I mean, everybody's different. I mean, some people like all the tech, and they like all the Apexes and the Neptunes, and they like all the techie stuff. For me personally, I just like to have my tank, run it, and enjoy what's in it, because that's the hobby. For me,
yeah,
you know, but the other people, they like, I mean, it's all good, isn't it? They like messing around with the lights. I can't be bothered to mess around with an app with my lights. The kettle's on, do my thing, and that's it. It doesn't need to be really expensive. It doesn't. I mean, corals, yes. I mean, the higher end stuff, you're going to pay the money. But if that's what you want and that's what you enjoy, then by all means, go for it. I mean, it's everybody's opinion, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be hard. Reefing doesn't need. You can make it very, very simple. And as long, my famous thing is, as long as you do a water change when things do go a bit dodgy, 9 times out of 10 that gets you out of trouble.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a lot, and it doesn't make it more or less enjoyable when you do spend more or less, does it? It's just having a tank and sitting back and watching the kind of story unfold of the corals growing, the fish growing. It's just nice. It's nice to see it. And the tank's looking spot on.
It's like this stunning. Yeah, go, Carl.
I mean,
Hello.
Looks like he's going to go. Should we go to? There's a few questions and comments in there, Steve. There was some earlier on. I can't remember what it was now about smaller tanks harder to look after, which I think is true. But I think it really depends on what corals you have in it as well, and what fish. So I think there's a balance in that. And when I started the first tank, I stuck to softies and some of the easier LPS like war coral, stuff like that, and that was okay. I tried a couple of the hardy LPS and the colours were okay, but there was nothing special, and that's why I upgraded as well. And then you got the one about Xenia here. Yeah, so I think Xenia, I've always kept Xenia on a separate piece of rock away from the main aquascape, but they are known to drop off of that rock and then go somewhere else.
I was going to say that, Paul, because there's been quite a few times I've seen people saying they've had Xenia, you know, on an isolated rock, and then all of a sudden it shows up on the back of the tank somewhere completely different.
It can do. It can break off, I found, and then go somewhere else. So you've got to kind of keep your eyes open. And then it's a case of if it's on there, can you actually... What I tend to do is snip a bit off, and then I put a bit of putty over it to stop it growing back, if that's happened to me. Because if you leave it, it'll just... I suppose it's like anything. A weed is a plant in the wrong place. And that's the same on here when some people describe Xenia as a weed, because it has that same characteristics. It can pop up, but you can manage it. It's just a case of whether you want to or not. But I think it's a stunning looker in that respect, and it's an underrated. But I get why it's got a bit of a bad name because of that. And Neil Smith, favorite coral.
I have mine. I started off with a few little cloves of Xenia, and it spread and it grew and it spread and it spread, and now it's on the side glass. It sticks to it. Now it's on the back glass. It's everywhere, But on the main Euphilia rock, it was growing all over there. So I actually stuck my torch corals there. And what the torch corals do is they sting it. So basically, they're like the lawnmower. They keep it back. Yeah, they don't. It will not grow. It will not grow. It'll always stay. So it's basically not growing no more. It's basically froze in time. So if you want to stop something growing like Xenia, stick something that stings like mad, and it won't grow. Because I've stuck my Euphilias on it, torch corals, and the Xenia stopped growing in that now. So it's the only way. It's the only way. Otherwise, you've got to take it out and scrub it, and I'm not doing that. That's for sure.
I've had more problems with red mushrooms. Red mushrooms, they've just been spreading throughout the tank, and you try and peel them off, and you can't get them off properly, and they just pop back up. So I think in a future tank, I would not put red mushrooms in. I've had blue ones before, but the red ones, just for me, they just grow and grow so quickly. I peel them off, and they're back within a week or two. So that's one coral I regret putting in the tank over there, I must admit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking down here to see if
I must admit, mushroom.
Carl?
Mushroom.
Are you there?
Go on, Carl.
They stick to the side of the tank right now.
Yeah, they'll grow on anything. They grow on anything, mushrooms. And I've got them on the back of the tank. I've got them on the rock. They just hide. Either you can put things and take them. You can give them no light and they still don't die.
See, Monty's from Liverpool. Don't say that, mate. Liverpool, you're asking for it.
I must admit, I think some mushrooms are quite hard, to be honest with you. I'm not very good at the mushroom thing for some unknown reason. FPS, mushroom, no.
Yeah. Some people, like you said, some people struggle with it. Some people, like we said before, struggle to grow Xenia. You know what I mean? It's getting that balance in it. You know, like when I had my 170, I couldn't grow Xenia, and now in this 350, it grows like weeds. So I don't think I've changed anything. It's just I don't know it. I don't know if it's the water. I really don't know. But it grows like mad.
Yeah, and Stefan's put in the comments just a couple below around clove polyps. So go on, Carl.
No, I was just to say, it's the nutrients in your tank. If you strip everything out, out, your SPS, well, not even then, even SPS, they like nutrients. So you must have a little bit of nutrients in your tank, and they like it. And then you notice most of your corals will like it. You don't strip it down bare bone, you end up with nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Neil from Neil's Reef, Carl has asked. He asked before. I did see it. What would be your dream fish and your dream coral if you could choose one?
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that. I did think about this the other day. My favourite coral out of every coral, and they're not super expensive, is the elegants. That's why I've had so many of them. Fish-wise, it's got to be a snowflake eel. It's my favourite. But I've had one, but you just can't keep anything with them, and it's boring, isn't it? But that's my favourite fish. If you can call it a snake, isn't it?
You know what I always love. I always say I'd absolutely love one. Is those little bamboo sharks where you can get the eggs and you can put the eggs. You pin the eggs to the side of your tank, yeah. And I've always said I'd love to get one of them. Those bamboo sharks. They haven't been in my LFS, and they have like 2 or 3 of them. And I'm like, I want one of them. But I just know, I don't know much about them. I don't know if they grow.
Do you know what? Them bamboo sharks.
Yeah.
They in all fairness, them bamboo sharks are lovely, right? But you've got to feed them a hell of a lot, yeah, and they make a mess, and they cost. My mate's got one. They cost him probably, I reckon, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong on it, he said probably 100 quid a week on feeding him.
Serious?
Wow.
And maintenance.
What do you mean feeding them? Do you mean?
They're quite.
What do you mean by feeding them?
He feeds his like live fish and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, but there's live fish in my tank. So would they go for the live fish in the tank?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
But that's what I'm saying. You get one of them in there, eat all your fish, you won't have none left.
Right, I'm not getting one of them.
They're expensive to run.
So the cost is
that's what I'm saying. A friend of mine's he's basically got a lionfish, a bamboo shark, and some other kind of puffer. But he's feeding them and the maintenance, because you've got to clean it. They eat so much. The contaminant in the tank is just like constant work. So you've got to have a double big skimmer to pull it out. You can't just have a normal one. You need it triple the size.
Carl, this sounds like your predator tank that you had back in the day. The predator tank.
Yeah, the predator tank.
Yeah, was the lionfish in there and the puffers. That was quite an interesting little experiment. I enjoyed watching that.
I've had
predator tank.
I had before that. I had the snowflake eel, and I had a few others. And same old. You can't have a coral. Well, you can, but it just makes it harder for feeding regimen. Feeding them kind of fish, they just eat so much and they cause so much havoc in the tank. It's just not worth it unless you go fish only.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know. But that's the beauty of the hobby. If one day ever, I don't know, that I had a bit more space, I would put just a big, probably 8-foot predator tank in there with some really nice predator fish. But yet again, it costs money to keep them and maintain them.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, Carl? You know, you were quite worried about starting with SPS for quite a while. Is SPS as hard as everybody thinks it is, and is it as hard as what you thought it was going to be? Because I know you were a little bit wary about starting with your SPS tank, but it seems to me that your SPS is actually thriving, and you found it easier to some extent than your softies, maybe. Would you say that it's as hard as what people think it is, the SPS?
Well, like I say, with it. No, I don't think. There's certain SPS like acros, and some of the higher end acros are more finicky to look after. But let's be honest. Like I say, when I was looking into it, I mean, I spoke to Woody, World community, I mean, reef community worldwide. I spoke to Paul on this one.
Yes.
And some of the run-of-the-mill stuff, like your stylos and some Montes and your plating corals, as long as they, I mean they don't, I mean, it's a big debate. They're all doing all that in mind on reasonably high light, reasonably high flow, but yet again, they do need their certain things. They need the water a bit cleaner, than the softy tank, you know, because obviously they're linked together. But I mean, I've lost a few little bits here and there, but I mean, my first coral was a bird's nest. That's the first coral I ever bought. And I knew nothing. All I remember Tidal Garden saying was stick it in somewhere high flow, high light. I stuck it at the top of the tank, and next thing I know, within 2 months, it was the size of a football. And that was the one.
Yeah. So I think, Jay, on that one, I think it's hard. You know, but I was gonna say, I think it's harder to keep SPS in a mixed reef.
It is more of the acro. Yeah. In a mixed reef, when you say acros, they are more sensitive to swings in alk, aren't they? To be honest with you, having a mixed reef is the hardest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Because you're trying to please everything, then you end up pleasing nothing.
There is a risk of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because with your LPS,
I mean, a mixed reef, you've got to consider. I mean, a mixed reef is, I would personally say, is the hardest to have. To be honest with you, because you are trying to please absolutely everything, and you can't please everything. You'd be very. I mean, if that will have the ump, and then that will be all right, and then that will have the ump. So, yeah, I mean, even you could have a mixed reef with one or two, like I was saying to Bearded Reef. I was saying you could have one or two little frags of SPS at the top. There's plenty of light and there's plenty of flow. They will thrive as long as you're doing your water changes, you're looking after your tank, your parameters are reasonably stable. You won't have a problem.
Yeah, I think that was the plan that I was going to do after the speaking to you, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and if you go like, it's like anything, if you go high-end SPS and stick that in your tank that needs really powerful light, then you're going to kill the rest of what else is in there. That's the thing. That's why you ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
And we've discussed before about Ross having things like Setosa or purple plating or Stylophora, those kind of ones that do really well in your tank because they're okay with swinging the parameters. They're okay with decent light, a little bit of dirtier water. They seem to do well. Purple Stylo are just fluff up really nice. I think they're lovely. That was the first SPS I've got, and they grow out really nice and they look nice and they've just got a nice sort of fluffiness to them, haven't they? I think the Stylos, and if they've got a lot of room around them, they'll just kind of grow out like a pot, and the shape of them is really nice when they grow out.
Yeah. Have you seen the rainbow Stylos? The rainbow
I've
Stylos
seen pictures
really
of them,
and they're not super expensive either. I mean, and like I say, Paul gave me some Bird of Paradise, which is like a bird's nest, and it was stunning. Empathy.
Yeah.
It's the age-old thing. I mean, people try and put the fear into your SPS and say,
I'm going to show you my drink.
What was that, Ross?
That's
what
what
was
I'm
it?
drinking. Seriously.
Nice.
Corporation Pop, as we call it.
What were you saying there, Ross?
I was saying, people, they try and put the fear into you, saying SPS is difficult, it's hard to look after, it's one of those things that needs to be perfect, and it kind of put me off as well. That's why I didn't think I would do the SPS, because, you think you've got to have all the fancy lights, all the high flow, you've got to have everything perfect for it, whereas from what you guys have said, that is true for some of the SPS, but other ones, I could have them in my tank, so, I don't think it's quite as difficult as everybody makes out that it is. Not everybody, but a lot of people make out it's difficult.
It's a perception, so I think you'd be all right. If you sound like a strawberry shortcake, I wouldn't put that on your tank. They're fantastic, but they are known to strip quite easily. So I wouldn't go down that route. But the ones we just talked about, you get really nice colour on them. and they'll just complement what you've got. And like Cole says, you stick them high up. You've got the flow, they've got the light, the water, get a little bit of nutrients in them, and they'll be fine. And if the nutrients go too high, quite often they'll start to brown out. So as they lose colour, the nutrients are going out. They won't necessarily strip because the nutrients like your phosphate or nitrate, if you get a spike in it, then that can cause a problem. But if they start going up, I find my the LPS start to look better and they get plumper, and the SPS go a bit brown. If you haven't got the balance, that's what I find happens if the nutrients go too high. So you can tell by the look of the corals, you think the water's a bit too dirty, take it down a little bit, and then you'll start seeing an LPNS won't be as fluffy. And it's that you've got that constant balance on the mixed reef, I find. But it's just one of those things. It's great fun, though, he says.
So when do you think you're going to buy SPS, Ross?
The only way you're going to know...
Yeah. Go on, Cam.
Go get
it.
Go get bird's nest.
Paradise. Yeah, you know what? You can never tell. You can never tell when you can never tell when your tank's ready for SPS. Yeah, in my opinion, the only way you can tell is if you get a little tiny piece of, like you said, a cheaper piece, maybe like Hystrix or a Ceratopia, Stylo Board or something like that. Just a little piece, stick down your tank, and if that survives, then you just go and you progress from there. Yeah, but like you said, don't put in like something like you said, like a strawberry shortcake, and think that that's going to survive, because 9 times out of 10 it will strip. You know what I mean? Because your tank won't be mature enough for it. I've got my strawberry shortcake in here, yeah, and it's probably been in for about 16 months, and it's grew about 2 millimeters, yeah. But when I look from the top, yeah, it's completely based all around the rock. You know what I mean? And I'm like, nice. I don't want you to grow. I don't want you to base out on the rock. I want you to grow upwards. He's not doing it. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things with it. It's a finicky thing, SPS, that's for sure. But yeah, somebody said about these Donny borders.
You got to go for it at some stage.
Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, of course you have. Yeah.
I mean, I would just go for a little bit of a stylo, just a little small frag of stylo, stick it on the top of the rock work near the light, and a nice little bit of float. Keep your eye on it, and I guarantee, if like we're all reefers here, we all look after our tanks, we all take care of our tanks. By rights, it will do fine. I mean, and it will grow pretty quick. To be honest with you, You've got to do a little bit of research, and you've got to get comfortable with the tank and the parameters and all of that first, and then go down that route. I mean, you'd be nuts if you just set up a tank that's been running 3 weeks and go, right, boss, I'm going to stick a Walt Disney in there. Let's hope. It's not going to happen. I mean, that's just how it is. But the little stylo bearded reef will be absolutely fine. I guarantee it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll give it a go. I'm going to try it and see, and hopefully it'll be okay.
I think it will.
What I want to just say is Paul from Reefer Community. He messaged me, and basically he said to me that he's actually donated a prize to be in a giveaway today. Yeah, which was very kind of him. So I appreciate that. And what it is it's the Orfec lights. I don't know if you can see it. The Orfec lights, the 2-pack. Yeah. So it's the new Orfec lights, the one with the blue, and it's also got a white light as well, yeah. So he's gladly donated it for us. So what I want you to do is anybody who wants to be in it, just put a number down from 1 to whatever. Yeah, one of them what Ross has got there. Just put a number down.
They're actually really good, to be fair, Steve. They're good.
Yeah, well, he's donated it, so I'm going to do a little giveaway here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the number generator. I'll quickly do it, and then I'll scroll through the numbers, and whoever's got the number, then obviously I will pass it on to Paul, and then Paul can send it out to you as well. I appreciate that, Paul. So if you want to be in on it, put your number down, and I'll write them out, and then we can give a giveaway. So yeah, I appreciate that.
It's very good of him. That's very good.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
What is it? Is that like the nightlight, Ross?
Yeah,
that one? Is that where you can?
Yeah.
Where you can look at the tank in there.
So I've got the two of them. That's the two of them here, mate. So that one there, as you can see, it's blue. So you get a kind of blue light from that, and you can adjust the beam of it and everything.
It doesn't wake the bishop or something.
That one there is just a white one, so you've got a blue and a white one for looking at the tank at night time. That's really what they are, mate. But they're really good, to be fair, because it saves you having to put lights on in the room and so on. You know, you can go in with that little blue one and just have a look in the tank without disturbing anything.
Yeah. They're awesome.
They are really good, to be fair.
I need to put my number in.
Yeah,
I haven't got any of those.
Yeah, Paul's pretty knowledgeable. Paul and Woody, when it comes to reefing, honest with you, like I sort of know them as well. They're very, very knowledgeable. And you know, if you need anything like SPS wise or anything like technical, it's pretty good to hook up Paul or Woody. They do know their stuff. They taught me a lot, to be honest with you, with the SPS stuff and how to gradually get into it. So, you know, but Paul is a bit crazy. He's a crazy man, but I like him. So, but he's a good man.
So I'm just writing these numbers down. So please bear with me. I'm writing them down while you carry on talking.
Yeah. So there was a question from Neil from Neil's Reef Aquarium around. He's thinking of adding a Goniopora garden. I don't know what experience, Cole. Have you kept gonies before?
69.
Yeah, they always die on me. I can't. They die after a month. They need a certain kind of parameters and food. I don't know what it is. I don't bother with them because I've had them in the past and I'm fed up spending money on them. They look nice for a month, and then all of a sudden they get jellied out and they're gone. So I don't bother with them anymore. I'd rather have some zoas. They live forever.
Yeah, unless you get the expensive ones that melt. But I know what you mean. Most of them are bulletproof. And some of the cheaper zoas, like Utter Chaos and stuff like that, I think they're fantastic. Great colour and really cheap as well. So you can get some really good zoas out there for sure. So Neil, I've only had experience of one Goniopora. I've got one at the moment. It's a pink one. It's about middle of the tank. This is in the floating aquascapes. It's only been going since November, and at the moment, touch wood, it looks like it's thriving and growing out and extending. The flow is, I would say, medium, so it's just kind of waving from side to side. I don't feed the tank anything other than the normal. It gets copepods every day. It gets frozen every evening. So I wouldn't say it's a success because I've only had it for about 2 months. You know, I know Stefan on here. He lives local to me. He sells loads of Gonioporas. So, Stefan, I don't know what your trick is for keeping those, but I know you've had all different kind of ones. Because I've seen you sell them online. I don't know if anyone else in the chat has got any experience with Goniopora.
I've never ever kept them, but I know that Market Practical Reef, he was talking about getting some as well.
If they're
yeah, go on, Carl, and then we come to Ross after.
What I've noticed from people who have some... Yeah, I mean, with the Goniopora, what tended to happen, I mean, this was when I first started, I bought them, and this was like, I'd say like 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, is now, where they're cultured, they're more tolerant of like coral farm facilities than they are
hardier.
Straight from the ocean.
Yeah.
That's what I find. So I've been told that they're a lot more hardier now than they've ever been. So, I mean, by rights, I probably might try one, but I won't force myself to go and buy one. But I know that they're a little bit more hardier now than they've ever been. I used to find it was the red ones that usually fizzle out. The green ones maybe a little bit easier, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. But they're a little bit more hardier. They're the same with elegance corals. You go back 3 years or 4 years ago, they was a little bit harder and they just melt on you. I mean, and I've never had any problems with mine because they're agricultural all the time. So
yeah, that's a fair point. I picked mine up from Paul at AAC. And it was one that he'd fragged from one of the colonies he got. So it's probably been in his tank, fragged God knows how many times. So it's probably quite hardy just by the nature of its it's sat in the tank and it's just been fragged and fragged and fragged.
Yeah.
So over time they become a bit more resistant, don't they? Whereas you take it out of the ocean, you shock it by putting it in a tank, and then we expect it to survive. So that's a fair point. So Neil, maybe when you're down at Reef Dreams, I think it is that you shot, but maybe speak to them about, have they got any that are hardy, that are been aquaculture, they're not imports, so they're like a second, third generation, should we say, of kept in the tank. That might help. Ross, what you was going to say something, weren't you?
Yeah, I was just saying that basically there's been quite a bit of talk about the goonies this week, and it was Market Practical Reefer had been saying that he was looking at getting them, but was wondering, if anybody had any advice on them. I noticed there's been quite a few kind of coming up for sale with really nice colours and so on, but I don't really know anybody personally that's got them. That's the kind of thing. So, like you guys are saying, I think they must be quite difficult to keep.
Yeah, so Stefan has said it's got 8 different varieties of goonies, all placed on the sand bed, medium flow, medium light, and dose 1 milliliter of manganese a day. And he has definitely, from the pictures I've seen, got some really like glitter ball. I think I've seen you've got Stefan amongst others, so some sort of decent ones. Yeah. What other comments we got there?
Sorry about this, guys. I'm just obviously Neil Smith.
That's in Neil Smith, thanks. So Carl, if you look, when you're getting your new tanks, I know I've seen you post a few times around, you're getting your new tank from, is it ND Aquatics?
Yeah, I mean, cut a long story short is I went in there, and he knows that I do the YouTube now. He thought I was joking. He said, I know that you do the YouTube and you've got a bit on Insta, and I know a few people, not loads. I don't know loads of people. I know a few, but that's about it. And he was like, I'll make them for you. I said, right, okay. But mate, he's so busy. People, like, literally went in there like Monday, and he's so busy with building tanks. I said to him, well, people are waiting, and you're making me look like a muppet because I'm waiting forever. But I mean, you're talking like £1,500 worth of tank that I ain't paying for. Frag tanks that I don't pay for on that. And you just got to wait. The peninsula's coming, and it will come. And when it comes, I'll put the video out. But I can't sort of rush him because I ain't paying for it. So I can't really moan at him too much. But I did say to him, listen, man, you need to hurry up, liven up, like. But I mean, NDs, they're good, but they're slow. It can be a bit slow, but it is what it is, isn't it? When it turns up, it's going to be great. I've done some videos. That will probably, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I was going to literally put a video out and say, right, whatever the YouTubers want me to do, that's what I'm going to do. I'll do a vote on it. But I was thinking of an SPS dominant, but I don't know. It's loads of hard work then, isn't it?
What size tank is it, Carl? What's the dimensions of it?
It's a 4 foot by 15 inches high by 18 wide. So it's like just like a shallowish kind of reef. I don't like really high tanks. I never have done. I mean, I had, like I say, really high 24 inch. Me, I just like them shorter. Not like 8 inches, because that's a frag tank. It's too small. So I said to him, well, we go to about 15, 16 inches. We have it sort of as a shallow reef. If we go SPS dominant, and then the lights will just sit on the top. I've not really planned it, but it's coming. But I don't know. I'll change like the wind. I could have just a NEM tank coming on. And NEM is wicked, man. I think they're just really nice. But you can't really have a whole tank full of them. Well, you can, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might just put it out on a vote, whatever you lot want me to do with it, subject to being all, SPS, Walt Disney's, because that ain't going to happen. And we'll go from there. But yeah, it's a 4 foot peninsula, because I only like the peninsulas, to be honest with you. They're my favourite tanks. I do like the peninsula.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. Just so you got the dimensions from 3 sides, haven't you? On that, with the weir at one end, and then you got the rock skate through the middle. Yeah. If they're quite narrow, and what I like when you see tabling acros. Yeah. I know they're a bit hard to look at, but when you see some of the not so higher end ones, I think a table in acro looks fantastic when you see them, and the way they just branch out and they table out, and then the polyps are sticking up and stuff like that. Like you see ones that are kind of pretty bright pink and that. You look at that, and you think that's a really nice coral. Takes time to get it like that, but just on, you imagine a peninsula when you've got the kind of the branch, the table in there, and then towards the bottom you've got some Monties and you've got some beach bums and others just kind of working and way around one another. That would look really nice. Hard work to look after, like you say. It depends on the effort to maintain it and everything else. But a dominant one, you know what you got to keep it at, don't you? You keep it at a certain level, you dose and blah blah blah, and it just stays rock solid.
Yeah, that's exactly my. Yeah, that's exactly my point. If I do the SPS, it will be literally properly dosed, properly managed, not super overcomplicated, because then it'll kill it for me, because it's a hobby. I just want to look at corals. I don't want to be underneath looking at the sun. That's not the idea of it for me. But the peninsula style that I can see all the way around it is perfect. I'm not big lover now of tanks with all the bit of the black at the back. I don't like that anymore. I don't think I ever really liked that. A peninsula, but that's just me, you know, that's just what I prefer. And I think it would be really nice with some half decent lights on there, which I probably will run the kettles on it, to be honest with you.
Big question, Carl. Are you going to use sand?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? To be honest with you, when you talk about bare bottom, you know,
the Super Simple started bare bottom, didn't it?
I do like bare bottom, and it's a lot easier to keep clean and maintain. Sorry,
the Super Simple started as a bare bottom, didn't it? And then
I didn't hear that.
What's that?
He didn't hear what you said about the Super Simple.
To be honest with you, having a bit of sand. Yeah, having the sand, it reflects the light, so you get more light in the tank. Bare bottom, for me personally, I'm not gonna go. I do like it, but I'm gonna go bare bottom on this one. I'm gonna have a nice bit of sand, nice bit of rock, and it's gonna look good. But who knows? Who knows? We might just put a snowflake hill in there, or a bamboo shark, a little one.
Yeah. Right. So it looks like I have got every one of them. I've written all the names down on one of those spinning wheel things. So I'm looking, and I just want to double check, but I think I've got everyone. There was a few people who duplicated it. So if you look down on the comments, if your name is on it, that means that you've duplicated a number. So you need to just go back on the comments and just see, and then choose another number. But I think everybody else has put down. I'm looking, and I think they've all corrected it. So I think we're good to go.
So Steve, do you know how to share it at the bottom of the screen so you can bring it on the screen?
No, I don't.
Right. So at the bottom of it, you've got bottom middle. You've got share. If you press on share, and then it's share screen.
Yeah.
And then if you press, you come to a blue button, it says share screen. If you press that, then it'll ask you what you want to bring up. And then you just click on that screen that's got the Wheel of Fortune. And then that will come up on screen.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, that's what I did last week.
Right. 1 minute. Oh, God.
You're as good as me on the computer, aren't you?
Hey, mate, I'm hopeless, I told you. No, it's not doing it.
It's not working.
No. It's not doing it on here, Paul.
Okay.
No, it's not doing it. What I'll have to do is no, it's not coming up on it. Oh, you bastard.
We're gonna have to just trust you, Steve.
Right.
Just be honest, Steve.
What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna have to Can you see it on here if I spin it around here like this? Can you see it?
Yeah.
You see it, yeah?
Yeah. No, we can't.
Yeah.
It's gone now, but we could see it. Yeah.
Right. There.
He's lost it. He's lost it.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Go.
Yeah. Can you all
Yeah,
see
go
it?
for it, mate.
I can see it, but I can't read it. Make your screen so you've got a soul. So you're the only person on the screen.
Got you. Sorry about this. This is live TV, so this is what it's all about.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. You see it? Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Right.
We can see
So
it.
we're gonna spin it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're spinning it,
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
and the winner is.
Hold up.
Oh, Fix. This is second week running.
That can't be right. Oh,
He won last week.
He did. It's go. Oh man.
Well done, Go.
Well done.
You are the winner. Go.
Gal, you're the luckiest person.
Oh,
I know.
Hold on a minute. Gal's saying spin it again. Spin it again. Does he not want it?
Yeah,
you want
he's
it,
a
Gal?
good man, Gal. Good man.
Well, he's letting us spin it again. Right. So that's very kind of you, Gal. So what we'll do is we'll spin it again then. So we go again.
Go for it, Steve.
Yeah, he's a top man.
Jackie Kenyon.
Yeah, we have a winner.
So Jackie,
There you go.
if you send us,
Congratulations, Jackie.
yeah, congratulations. If you send us your details over, go on my Instagram, and I'll pass them over to Reefer Communities. But thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Paul, for donating that. And I'm sure Jackie does as well, mate. So yeah, like I said, hopefully we'll do a few more of these giveaways in the not too distant future. I think they're really good. You know what I mean? But yeah, we've come to the end of the stream. Now it's 5 minutes over, but a massive thanks to Reef King for joining us on here. And yeah, I appreciate your time, mate. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Keep up the great content, mate, on your channel.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
listen,
I love your channel.
I do apologise for. Yeah. Nah, cheers, fellas. Listen, I'm sorry about my internet. It's absolutely rubbish. But no, I really appreciate you letting me come on here. It's been really good. And Mogsy, I will send you them. I haven't forgotten. It's been a bit manic. You'll get them soon.
Hey, no worries, boss.
All right, cheers,
hey,
fellas.
I appreciate
cheers,
it.
fellas.
Thanks a lot, Reef King.
Paul's
mate.
Palace, I'll catch up to you because yeah, that's no problem. You will get them. It will happen.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks all.
Which channel will be on next week? Do we know? Whose channel
We're
will be
on
on next week?
Ross's.
Mine's next
Bearded
week.
Reef.
Yeah, so we're on Ross's channel next week. The Bearded Reef. So definitely get over to that on the Friday, the same time. You know the score, guys. And yeah, we appreciate you watching and joining in on the live stream. We're loving it. You know, all of us are loving it at the moment. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next live stream. So cheers. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks all.
Thanks
Have a
very
good
much,
one.
folks.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice weekend.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Where's he gone?
Well, he's gone, and it's still showing us live. So we're still live because he's dropped off. So we just carry on because we can't go to areas. He's back again.
He's back.
We're still